All right, welcome to Silver Creek School Corporation. The first thing we have tonight is our public hearing on the budget, and with that, I will send it over to Mr. Matt Reese to explain that.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight we're doing three things. We're having your public hearing on the 2022 budgets, the 2022 capital projects plan, and then the 2022 through 2026 bus replacement plan. This is a public hearing. So for 2022 budgets, you'll notice the budgets there on the left are the 2021 actual budgets for each of those five funds: education, debt service, operations, which are the three funds that are actually expenditures and controls for Silver Creek. And there's also last year, or currently this year, there's a West Clark pension debt fund and a West Clark debt service fund, which is the legacy debt from the old West Clark School Corporation. For 2022, your pension debt service fund goes away and you no longer have that fund. You've paid off those here in 2021, back in July, completed that bond issuance. In 2022 then, education fund, we're advertising a budget a little over $17 million. That is up from last year. We'll get into a little bit more about that as we talk about the additional state funding coming in. Your debt service fund with the latest debt issuance has a small payment included in there for $934,000. The operations fund, the budget's about 7.6, up about $430,000 over the previous year for operations fund. The West Clark debt service fund, you'll notice, also goes up almost to $7.2 million, and that's due to some additions of common school loans and also just the way the payment amortization schedules were set up on that old debt. Important to note that the debt service fund and operations fund, we'll talk about that here in a second with the levies, come from just the assessed valuation of Silver Creek, where the West Clark debt service includes both Silver Creek and Borden Henryville's assessed valuation to come up with those rates. For the levies, you'll notice that the levy increase in the levy matching the increase in the expenditures for your debt service fund, $228,000 up to $825,000. Same thing with the West Clark debt service fund. That levy we're allocating $6 million for. And the operations fund also going up to a little over $3.7 million. So all total, the levy that we're advertising for is a little over $10.5 million, up from $9 million you currently have. But I want to point out that these are advertised numbers, and we're fully anticipating these coming down a little bit with the growth in AV. Just a quick discussion about your growth in AV. That report was released recently. Your growth in AV this year for just the Silver Creek portion was a little over 7%, which is a nice, healthy second year of really big growth. I would classify 7% as significant growth. The growth for the West Clark portion, which you're required to administer based on that separation agreement, that assessed value is up almost 11% this year. So anticipate some reductions in your debt service rates given even the increased levies that we're asking for. So debt service go from 2 cents up to just under 10 cents. Your West Clark debt service will go from 34 up to 37. Then your operations fund will go from 41 up to 43. Show these as tax rates as simply illustrative in nature. Tonight we're not here to discuss the tax rates. That'll be done at your next meeting when you adopt. You'll actually adopt some rates and levies at that meeting that'll be tied to the budget. This is simply the hearing on the budgets to show you what we advertised. Looking at the total rate, we include all three funds at 90 cents is what we advertised to get you back up to that number. You'll notice there was nothing in the education fund for levies or rates. There are no property taxes out of the education fund. The majority of that, 99% of that money, comes from state support or the state funding formula. Any questions on the budgets at this point from the board? Next is your capital projects plan. Advertised 3 carpet replacements for $10,000 each. Equipment for $20,000 for a corporation vehicle. It's important to note this capital projects plan is only for those items you anticipate paying for out of the operations fund. So the bond you recently sold is not included in the capital projects plan because those things are not paid for out of the operations fund. The last thing is the bus replacement plan, which is also paid out of operations. You'll notice 3 buses are set up in there for about $320,000, I think, $12,000 for 2022. And you can see replacing 1 to 2 buses each of the next through the next 5 years. Any questions on either one of those at this point? Excellent. I'm done.
At this time, we invite any public comment who wants to speak at the hearing. You don't have to sign up. It is just 100% public comment. You can take the microphone and the podium. We have none. All right, hearing is adjourned.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Regularly scheduled board meeting called to order at 6:46. If we would please rise. Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Groen. Invocation by Ms. Oberberg.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come here today thankful for this time together to make important decisions for our stakeholders, our students, and our staff. I pray that you would lead us to make wise decisions and to come together in unity and watch over and keep us all, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Roll call for the record. Ms. Franklin.
Present.
Ms. Franklin is virtual tonight, and we do hope that she recovers from her surgery from last week. Mr. Basham.
Here.
Ms. Overberg.
Here,
Mr. Groen.
present.
And I am present. We have quorum. Dr. Briggs, any emergency additions or revisions to the agenda?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. We do have several emergency additions. Starting under number 8, consent agenda, letter A, Roman numeral number 5, number 2, NESP grant for $57,138.24. Also under consent agenda, letter A, Roman numeral 7, approval of the following donations. Number 11, $42,000 from 403 Properties LLC. Under personnel, letter C, 1D, under certified, Susanna Constanzo, part-time school psychologist, Silver Creek School Corporation, number 1099. Also under classified positions, letter O, Tracy Hatter, Silver Creek High School secretary, 0114. Under other, Roman numeral 2, request to approve the superintendent to have authority to sign the security benefit retirement program plan documents and to bring to the board for ratification in October. The security benefit retirement program plan is our 401A for our staff. That document is currently being reviewed by our legal team. And so as not to delay the implementation of that, I request authority for me to sign it as soon as it's ready. Hopefully it'll be ready in the next few days. And then I will bring all of that back to you for ratification at our next meeting in October. Also, Roman numeral 8, requests the superintendent to have authority to approve the best estimate for Silver Creek Primary School courtyard project. We are presently getting quotes for that. Roman numeral 9, request to approve the quote and changes recommended by school attorney for topographical survey of Silver Creek High School campus. That quote just recently came in as of Friday. Request to approve proposal for ACA reporting services. Again, that proposal just came in on Friday. Roman numeral 11, request to approve proposal and changes recommended by school attorney for subsurface investigation and geotechnical recommendation. Those proposals are as they were submitted to you on Friday. However, we are making a couple changes where the school corporation is mentioned as the client. Right now, they have CSO or architect mentioned, but we want to make us mention. That way we have the authority to sign it. If we're not mentioned on the proposal, then it's difficult for us to approve it. Roman numeral 12, policies, first reading, 0167.3, public participation at board meetings. The only change on that policy was that presently our policy states that anyone wishing to make a comment on a topic related to the current agenda, it must be listed on the agenda at a regular or special meeting, must sign up. The change that I am recommending is that for any person wishing to make a comment on any topic concerning the school corporation, They can make that comment, sign up to make that comment at a regular, special, or emergency meeting. So this change gives our community a little more flexibility. It is not focused on an agenda item. Of course, they can speak on an agenda item, but if they just have a comment in general that they want the board to be aware of, we want to be able to allow them to do so. And the last couple policies. Number 2, policy 8390A, animals on school corporation property, therapy dog. The change there is that we currently have that, by definition, a therapy dog must be certified as a therapy dog by an AKC recognized therapy dog organization. That is redundant from the other requirement that we have, that a therapy dog must be trained. So that those are two contradictory things, or actually they're two redundant things. There's no sense in having the second one. If our dog is trained appropriately, we will meet those guidelines. And then also the decision to have a therapy dog in any school building shall rest not only with the building principal, but also I've added the superintendent. And then number 10 on that policy, the district will allow a therapy dog in training to come to school with the handler. These dogs would have more limited contact with students and be enrolled in a training program, and also meet current policy or current property casualty coverage guidelines for the current plan year. And then the last policy, 01642, special meetings. Right now, our policy states we have to give 72 hours notice for a special meeting, and that goes above and beyond the law of 48 hours. We give 48 hours notice for a regular meeting, so this change puts us in line with the state law, but also what we do with our regular meetings. So the policy simply is changing to follow the law and not add any additional time for notice. And then Roman numeral 13, request to approve additional services fee proposal number 1 from CSO. CSO is our architect working on these projects that we have coming up. CSO has had to contract out for certain services. CSO does a great job on a lot of things, but beyond the scope of their skill set is the theatrical design for theater planning and audiovisual design, acoustic design services, and food service design. So by amending their cost proposal, their proposal will go up by approximately $124,700 if approved. And the last emergency addition is under number 9, discussion action items. Currently, the agenda says contract, request to approve Todd Balmer as Chief Financial Officer. We need to also add the title of Treasurer. So the request is to approve Mr. Balmer as the Chief Financial Officer and the Corporation Treasurer. That is it for emergency additions. Thank you.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent on emergency additions or revisions to the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve or discuss?
I also move to approve.
Mr. Basham makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Do we have any discussion or questions? All with that, we'll come to vote. Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin, virtually, how do you vote?
Yay.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next up, we have the approval for the minutes. First minutes we have are the approval of minutes from August 12th of 2021 work session. Do we have a motion to approve?
Also move.
Mr. Groen makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin, virtually, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Approval of the minutes from August 16th, 2021, regular scheduled board meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
Also move.
Mr. Basham makes a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin, virtually, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Lastly, approval of the minutes from August 20th, 2021, emergency board meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
Also move.
Mr. Groen makes the motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin virtually, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Briggs, school reports?
Yes, thank you. We have a lot of great news and recognition for this evening. First of all, from Silver Creek Primary, thank you to our families for your hard work during our 2 weeks of e-learning. We appreciate your commitment to our students and to our Silver Creek Primary School. From Silver Creek Elementary School, thank you to our families for your hard work during our 2 weeks of e-learning. We appreciate your support. We would like to thank all of our teachers and staff for their work during e-learning. Providing instruction during e-learning to make sure all students continue learning during our shutdown has been a top priority. We are so thankful for all of their hard work. From Silver Creek Middle School, wants to say a big thank you to our students, staff, and parents, guardians for all the additional efforts during our e-learning period. We are very thankful to have our students walking our halls and receiving instruction in person. Congratulations to the boys Silver Creek Middle School cross-country team for qualifying for the state meet. They will compete in Terre Haute, Indiana on October 2nd. Best of luck to our boys team. From Silver Creek High School, 105 seniors took part in the senior retreat that was held at Country Lake Retreat August 30 to September 2. A special thanks to senior class sponsors, Mrs. Amanda Albrand and Mrs. Eileen Harris for organizing the event. Thanks to Mr. Horton, Mr. Hunter, Mrs. Compton, Mrs. Anderson, and Ben Albrand for serving as chaperones. Homecoming will now take place this Friday, September 24th. The homecoming court consists of the following students: seniors Trey Schoen, Brandon Maurer, Garrett Allen, Ethan Natterman, Sarah Elder, Emma Graves, Isabel Odell, and Ava Ripple. Juniors Jack Hobbs and Carson Sidebottom. Sophomores Danica DeWeese and Kyle Roberts, and Bella Scott and Walker Hoffman. The fan club, the Ozone, has 220 student members, and that is the largest it has ever been, thanks to Mrs. Holstein for sponsoring. We are pleased to announce that the washer and dryers have been installed, and we are ready to provide laundry service to Silver Creek School Corporation, students, and families. Special thanks to Dee Kramer and Amanda Albrand for the idea and hard work to see this through. Carter Smith, Sr., has committed to play golf at Ball State University. Kennedy Stuyvesant, Sr., has committed to play basketball at the University of Evansville. The Mary L. Kane Estate has made another gift of $167,619.29 for the Mary L. Kane Scholarship Fund at Silver Creek High School. The total amount from the estate will be $267,619.29. Mary L. Kane was a 1943 graduate of Silver Creek High School and served as an RN at Veterans Hospital in Louisville for 30 years. She passed away on March 22nd, 2020 at the age of 95. Announcements. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting will take place October 18th here at Silver Creek Primary School in this room, the PDAC room. That's it for announcements and recognition. Thank you.
Ms. Halton, Curriculum and Student Services.
Switch on.
That helps. Okay. All right, good evening. Tonight's staff member spotlight, we want to recognize Mrs. Heather Smith. Heather has been an invaluable part of the first few weeks of the school year as we have welcomed our intense severe needs friends to our buildings. And she has integrated essentially a new special education district team, new OT, new psychologist, new autism coordinator, et cetera, to our schools. She has helped facilitate meetings, help assist with special ed teachers with scheduling challenges, jumped in to help with when students needed it, and worked diligently to help hire assistants at both Silver Creek Primary and Silver Creek Elementary. Heather has supported both SCP and SCE in big ways, and there is no way our special education program would be functioning so good at this point in the school year without her support. She is a rock star, and we are immensely grateful for her hard work each and every day. So Heather is here. Heather, you want to wave to everybody? Thank you very much. Some curricular highlights and updates. Academy of Finance sophomores and juniors, led by teacher Ms. Jennifer Glasser, attended a venture capitalist business luncheon in Louisville on Wednesday, September 1st. The students that attended: Lucas Campbell, Colin Hatfield, Seth Ho, Lorianna Liu, and Sam McAfee. They dressed professionally, shook hands with the business partners in attendance, collected business cards, and practiced their networking skills. The featured speaker recognized our students and encouraged them to continue to attend such events as it will help them in their road to the future. NWEA. Students around the district have been busy taking the NWEA assessment. This is a new assessment that the district adopted based on feedback from the Assessment Exploration Committee and their hard work last spring. Administrators and instructional coaches will be formally trained on how to utilize the data next week. This training will help us learn more about each student's current academic performance and will allow each principal's teacher teams to make informed decisions on how to structure intervention and enrichment activities during the school day. Information about all of our assessment windows can be found on the Silver Creek webpage. Parents should visit the homepage, click on departments, select curriculum and student services, and then along the left side, click on 21-22 assessment windows. Early college school. On Wednesday, September 15th, I was invited to attend the Early College New Schools meeting at Center Grove Innovation Center with Mr. Eckert, Miss Compton, Miss Owen, Mrs. Bailey, and Mr. Day. It was an opportunity for the team from Silver Creek High School to evaluate where we are with becoming an early college school. So what is early college? Early college blends high school and college in a rigorous yet supportive program, compressing the time it takes to complete a high school diploma and the first 2 years of college. The benefits of adding the early college distinction to Silver Creek High School is that it brings purpose and rigor back to the senior year. It provides direct pathways to post-secondary for the underserved and middle-of-the-pack students, helps schools meet college readiness metrics, and distinguishes the school as innovative. It is a rigorous process, but we have a very dedicated group of people at Silver Creek High School committed to moving forward with plans to make Silver Creek High School an early college school in the near future. Additional updates will be provided to the board as we move through the process. Panorama SEL survey. A letter was sent to Silver Creek School Corporation parents this morning that identified information regarding an upcoming survey that students in grades 3 through 12 will be participating in within the next 2 weeks during the school day. This survey is a requirement of the grant that Silver Creek School Corporation applied for and received this past spring. While we would like all students to participate, we also know it is important for our parents to have a choice. Parents who do not want their children to participate must opt out by using the link in the letter by the end of the day on Wednesday, September 22nd. The survey will be given sometime between September 23rd and October 8th. That concludes my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we have any questions for Ms. Hawkins? Thank you.
Lots going on.
Finance and Operations, Dr. Briggs.
Yes, thank you. From the Education Fund, period to date receipts, $1,618,064.30. Period to date expenditures, $1,121,449.20. Year to date, our receipts from the Education Fund, $13,590,570.64, and our to date expenditures for the year, $8,522,783.54. A current balance in our Education Fund of $8,082,482.21. From the Operations Fund, period to date receipts, $87,490.05. Period to date expenditures, $721,508.55. Year to date receipts, $4,951,151.25, and year to date expenditures, $4,148,254.69. Current balance of the Operations Fund is $4,064,624.63. And that is it. Thank you.
All right, consent agenda and the finances, Dr. Briggs?
Community input.
Oh, I'm sorry, we do have that, don't we? It's not at the end anymore. Right now it's time for community input. At this time, we have anybody that has signed up wanting to. You still have just a couple of seconds left to see Ms. Campbell. Going once, going twice. So, Dr. Briggs, consent agenda.
Okay. Consent agenda, we have letter A, finances. We have Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, under 3, items 1, 2, and 3. Roman numeral 4, 5, under 5, items 1 and 2. Roman numeral 6. Roman numeral 7, items 1 through 11. Letter B, instruction. Roman numeral 1, school improvement plans for each of the 4 schools. Roman numeral 2, request to approve an increase of the following course fees to $50. Under personnel, certified positions, certified appointments, positions A, B, C, and D. There are no certified resignations. Number 3, new positions, high school English language arts. Under personnel, number 2, classified positions, classified appointments, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O.
I almost got all the way through it.
Yeah, if there's any of our young students here, the alphabet does go a little further, but I just stopped it at O. No confusion there, Miss Campbell. Under classified resignations, letter A, Roman numeral 3, there are no terminations. Roman numeral 4, there are no ECAs. Roman numeral 5, there are no leaves in retirements. Letter D, there is no technology. Letter E, under other, request to approve to seek proposals for our HVAC, mechanical, and temperature control PM contracts. We had previously sought proposals for this, but we have made the decision to re-seek proposals just because we think we've done a better job of presenting our needs. Number 2, covered on our emergency additions. Number 3, request to approve revisions to the CMC contract. Specifically, there are 3 parts to it. Document A201, document A133, and A33 2019, and another document A133 2019. These are revisions. As the board knows, we approved Skillman as our CMC, and now that they're in it and working, they've saw some things to be revised. Our school attorney has approved every one of these, so I would second that. Roman numeral 5, request approval for bus exchange. This is an exchange of school buses 1-for-1 between Silver Creek School Corporation and Borden Henryville. And again, that has been approved by our school attorney, that is something that we are able to do. Roman numeral 6, request to approve consultant agreements. We've had some staff turnover at central office over the last month, 2 to maybe a couple months. And we're working with individuals to come in and help transition our new staff. Request to approve, Roman numeral 7, request to approve professional services proposal for survey work. Again, this is part of our construction projects coming up, specifically here at the primary school and at Silver Creek High School on that campus. Roman numeral 8, Roman numeral 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 we covered in the emergency additions. And that is it for the consent agenda. Thank you.
You've heard the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve or bring to the table and to the floor discussion?
Also move to approve.
Mr. Basham makes the motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Ms. Overberg seconds. Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin virtually, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
I am also a yes. Motion is approved 5-0. Next up, under 9, discussion action items, we have under letter A, the contract of Todd Balmer as Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer. The Treasurer part was added during the revisions to the agenda. We have a motion to bring it to the floor.
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Basham seconds. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin virtually, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
I too am a yes. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Balmer. He is here tonight. Yeah, why don't you come up, bring your family, get some pictures taken. But then, and while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and let Damien set up here at the podium with what he's going to do. Yeah.
Who's got the camera? There, Miss Myers has the
Sandy's
camera.
got.
I feel like I'm photobombing.
I get the photo bomb.
I think I'm the one photobombing.
Hey.
Thank you, Mr. Balmer. Well deserved. Next up, we have Mr. Damian Magos from Raymond James and Associate. He's just going to update the public on the bond sale that we just recently completed.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is my favorite meeting of all of the meetings.
Money. Thank you, James.
Wow. So, was it?
The microphone.
9.5 months ago or so when we first met. Can I take this one? When we first met, was it early January to talk about a project. And we met a couple of Saturdays and whatnot, and put together options, and then I think the board moved along, and we finally had the bond sale August 31st. It was an incredible sale. I came down here and with Dr. Briggs, set up in the boardroom. We had this platform called Game Day, which allows real-time viewing of who's buying what, and it was. I think that was wild.
That was wild.
Right.
That was my educated term for the day. It was wild.
That was wild. Before we get to that, I just kind of where we started and where we finished, because this has been we've been together for the 10 months or so, but some of us have been together for almost 7 years, 6 years, 7 years, in bringing this to fruition. So it's been a long journey, and we could not have had a more fitting ending to this. So just real quickly, if you look at, I didn't do a PowerPoint because we've seen all of this. I just want to just kind of talk a little bit. There were a lot of options, runs, et cetera, financial numbers, updates, but I wanted to start with the budget hearing on back in March 8th. That's when we set the kind of the maximum, the $55 million number that we were going to be working with, and that was set so one, we could keep the rate, get the rate to 47, keep the overall rate at under 90 cents, and then leave room for maybe something down the road, and if there wasn't anything down the road, the option to do short-term financings, general obligation bonds, et cetera, just to give the board, community, and administration just a lot more flexibility with financing. And so we were scheduled to sell bonds in May, close the issue in June, and go on our way. The rates that we were using back then, we were assuming that we would have an A rating and a AA plus program rating. So we had the three key matrices. One is the net interest cost, the true interest cost, and then the bond yield for arbitrage purposes. You see, we were looking just shy of about a 2.5%, 2.4 something percent rate for a 20-year financing. We had talks. We had just had talks with Standard & Poor's that rated the West Clark School an A+. And the analyst at Standard & Poor's we kept in contact with knew that there was a bond issue coming. We also knew that for all intents and purposes, we were a new school corporation, even though we've been around for 50 some odd years. We are, Silver Creek was going to be a brand new with very limited information, but she felt that just kind of given the story and everything that a rating would be possible. So we went under that assumption. So everything in March, and you could see, and I included also the rates that we were using back then. We updated, so we get to May, we get through all of the statutory requirements, we get to May 17th, I think there'd been several presentations, but I think May 17th, I had one, I think I came here and we were looking at, okay, so now we were at $55 million. The bond issue, there was a way that we could raise additional funds on top of the $55 million by selling what are known as premium bonds, finding buyers that are willing to accept, were willing to pay us a slightly higher rate than what the market rate would be. And so that in talking again with everyone, we were going to try to max that out, but keep in mind that we can't go over the 55 million. We still had the 47 cents in the debt service rate and the 89 cents, 90 cents overall. So if it was possible to do all of that, then that's what we were going to do. So at that point, it was 55 million, a little over 5 million of premium to get total proceeds of just a little over 60 million. We had, so when we looked at the rates in March, there really hadn't been any big, large Indiana school deals that had been priced. So we were going off of what we thought an A-rated. In April of almost a month before, we sold a Scott County school issue. It was 20 some odd million, long-term, 20-year deal. That was an A-rated, AA plus, and so then it was similar, and so we used those rates for this to get to that. And you can see that the NIC, TIC, and the bond yield all came down essentially 8 basis points or so. So we were close to where we thought, but this is there was an A-rated, big deal, Indiana school deal in the market, and so that's what we want. So there was the scale that we did. So then the question was, do we sell bonds now, or do we wait, or because if we were selling bonds now, we had this capitalized interest portion that was the money that was the interest that was due to investors from the time that we closed the bonds to the first interest payment. If we shortened that up, and if we waited instead of selling bonds in May, and if we sold them maybe in August or September-ish, then we could close that number. That money goes back to construction. And then you can see on page 6, if you recall, I had that the Federal Reserve, yes, we were seeing what they are still calling as transitory inflation. Prices were starting to go up. And I think gas prices, grocery, just about everything has gone up. But the Fed was going to keep rates low. So there really wasn't anything happening market-wise for us to really go in and sell bonds at the time. The other thing that we had was S&P still at that time felt comfortable that we could get a rating. There was no precedent for a rating for a school that essentially reorganized and split, but there was 4 schools that consolidated. We were a month away from having the fiscal year end and talking with the Department of Ed. Once those financials from the school went to the DOE, on a first-come, first-served basis, they get approved. They knew we were looking at selling bonds. They were going to try to speed up the process. I think, we were working with the school to resolve outstanding issues. We are close, and that's what we had. And so we were waiting because a lot of buyers require a underlying rating, not just the program rating. So we wanted as many buyers as we possibly could. So we waited, and waited through July. First couple of weeks in August, nothing. The DOE stopped returning our emails, and so here we were. We have a very nice market. Do we wait? Do we? And so we decided that we were going to go sell bonds based on the underlying rating. And then at that time, Standard & Poor's kind of changed their tune a little bit and said we weren't getting the same comfy feeling that we were back in. So now we're like in August-ish. Back in May, there were the analyst was doing some unofficial polling of the credit committee, and there were individuals that really wanted financials, more than a year, and wanted audits. Well, in Indiana, school audits are done every 2 years. We're essentially 1 year. I mean, we're in our infancy. We wouldn't have 2 years until next year, and if we're lucky to get an audit by 2023, that would be great. And so there was no way that we were going to have that available for them. And so, like I said, we weren't get that feeling that a underlying rating would be possible. A program rating absolutely was, and so we decided to go with that. And so here we are, August 31st. It's on page 7, just to kind of show you where we were in May to where we were in August. You can see rates kind of went back up again because now we're looking at a non-rated, non-underlying rated issue, AA plus, versus what we had. We were assuming an A rating in back in May, and so rates backed up a little bit to around 2.5% or so. So this is the night before we had a pre-pricing call. Mr. Briggs was on, full talking to the bond trader who was going to, Parker Colvin, who was going to trade the deal. He had been taught, we had sent all the disclosure documents out a couple of weeks before, was getting a lot of really good input from buyers regarding, they understood why there wasn't a rating. So there was a lot of excitement and interest building in, but everyone was kind of on the sidelines. So we wake up the next morning. This is still accomplished everything. We were picking up a little bit more premium. Again, accomplished pretty much everything that we were trying to do. There was the pre-pricing scale that the night before. That morning, we again, because of the information and some of the interest that we had, we cut rates 5 basis points before we went out. So we went out with a stronger scale. And then on page 10, so like I said, I came down here, we set up, we went out, what was it, 9:30-ish. You go into an order period, 2-hour order period, where the bond traders, brokers, et cetera, are going talking to people, and nothing. About a half hour or so, and I think Mr. Briggs goes, so this is what I'm like, well, and then all of a sudden the orders started coming in, and I think as Parker put it, I think everyone kind of dipped their toe, and then once they saw and felt comfortable, you started to see the orders coming in, order after order after order, and you can see here on that scale, where it says 12.7 times, 11.6 times, 11. That means that's how many orders you had for that maturity. So we had 12 orders for that maturity. All in all, for the $55 million deal, we had 179 orders for $485 million worth of bonds. So we were 8.8 times oversubscribed on this issue. We had such a great, I think that once the banks came in, everyone had done, we had plenty of time to get out there and talk. I was talking to analysts up to the night before. And even on the drive down this morning, that morning, talking to bank analysts and other investor analysts about the credit. So everyone felt very comfortable about the story, understood why there wasn't a rating, and then once the banks started buying, everyone came in. And it was it was an incredible sale. Like I said, 8 times oversubscribed. Of that 55 million, $1 million of it went retail to individuals. So I know that there was, I think, about 100,000 or so from Indianapolis order, but the rest was from this area. So that's a nice, the individuals within this area that we'll put in for orders. And that's something that we do that's, I think, unique, is we make sure that we fill retail orders. And so those orders were filled. On the next page, you can see who all the accounts. There were 38 accounts that total. So you had bond funds, portfolios, institutions, corporate, et cetera. You could see all of and what they put in for in terms of bonds. That interest enabled us. So the order period finished, and so now what you do is you need to weed out some of those buyers. And how do you do that? You cut rates. And so we were able to, and you can see on the far right there, from 10 basis points to some of those maturities out there. For example, the 2035s, we would cut 22 basis points. And so up and down the line, and when it was all said and done, we sold $55 million worth of bonds, picked up almost $6 million of premium, so just shy of $61 million. You could see our rate. When we cut everything, the NIC was a 2.4, the TIC a 2.35, the bond yield 1.95, which is, if you go back to where we originally started, it was pretty close to what we thought in A. And then when you compare it to the Scott County A, we are, the bond yield is essentially the same. The other two we're about 8 basis points off from an A-rated scale. So the ratings go A minus, A plus. So essentially, we got real close to an A, easily an A minus. We sold a non-rated piece of paper for essentially an A minus A rating in Indiana. And then the closing is, you're going to get, the funding takes place this Thursday. And so the 50, the capitalized interest and cost of issuance, so you'll have essentially $59.4 million available for construction. We were just pleased. I was absolutely pleased. It could not have, like I said, it could not have turned out any better than this. And so, thank you very much. It's been a long journey, which is fitting. I have something here for all of you. And Christy, you'll have to pick yours up.
Thank you.
So these are what are known as
Thank you.
tombstones.
Thank you.
You deserve one.
Can we open it?
Yeah, go ahead and open up, please. Yeah. So, cover of the official statement. And, I got three for the full report.
Okay.
I talked with Doug this morning, I said he was not going to be here, but Chris's
I got hers here. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien. We appreciate you coming. Does anybody have any questions for Damien?
No, I just want to tell you thank you for all your hard work and helping us get it over the hump and ultimately allowing us to have a little more money, so appreciate that.
It was a long year, it's been a long year, it's been interesting. This is definitely, not that it's going to be a hard case. Actually, it was the deal of the week, for Raymond James, just given all of the details around it and how, having the ability to be on board early, to know the credit, being able to talk about it to investors and get them comfortable, really good job.
Great job.
Yep,
Thank you, Damien.
Thank you.
Damien, I'd like to say a couple things to you. I know we've had you up and down the road a lot, but the project has turned out well. We're going to not quite get what the referendum would have supplied us if we'd have got that kind of money, but we're going to really have enough money to really vastly improve the Silver Creek campus. And I know you've got a ton of work involved in this, and I'd just like to thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we got close.
We got close what the original was. Yeah.
All right, lastly on our agenda under section 9C, it's the request to approve resolution 2020-21. I'm sorry, resolution 920-21. It's the resolution of the School Board of Trustees for Silver Creek School Corporation regarding the compliance with Indiana executive orders. Basically what this memo does is it allows Dr. Briggs, after consulting with the board, to implement a policy regarding any kind of masking situation without having to hold a special meeting. A few times in the last month or so, we've been together, we've talked, we've come up with a plan in an executive session, but due to school board regulations, sometimes we have to wait a certain amount of time before we can actually get together, vote, and implement those. So in my opinion, this speeds the process up if we have to make an emergency change without having to have the board vote. So with that being said, do we have a motion to to approve resolution 2020-21? Sorry, 9/2021.
So this is just to,
Bring it to the
Oh.
floor.
for discussion? I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Basham seconds. Do we have any discussion?
So if I'm understanding correctly, if the governor puts something into order, this resolution is just allowing for him to follow that order, correct?
Correct. Still at school board discretion. It's not, it'll be discussed with the board previously, but it does not require us to get together to vote, to have it done. It can be implemented through this resolution. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Basham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin remotely, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes.
I am also a yes. Motion carries 5-0. We have any school board member comments at this time? Christy, you're out there. Do you have anything?
Nope.
All right. We hope you get feeling better. Mr. Basham, anything?
No.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes, I'd just like to say that I'm excited that we have to go through some more readings to make it official regarding the public comment. But I'm appreciative that we're going into the direction of including public comment on any topic without it having to be tied to an agenda item. And also, our policy stated no public comment at an emergency meeting, and now we are changing that to allow comment. I appreciate this because it'll allow the public the opportunity to know that they'll be able to speak at any meeting rather than having to wait to see if we're going to vote to allow it. And then in addition to that, just, it's been a long haul to get to these, to this bond sale, and it's just really exciting to see our school district moving in this direction and really coming along with being able to improve our facilities. It's a really exciting day.
Mr. Groom?
Just wanted to wish the middle school boys cross-country team good luck at state. And I know some other schools other ECAs will be coming up as well, so wish you guys luck. Also want to just tell the Mary L. Kane estate thank you. That's a blessed thing that you can do for our students, and I know they appreciate that, so thank you very much. And thank you, Raymond James, for everything you're doing for us and our school corporation. We truly appreciate all the hard work you did.
Yeah, I'd like to say, Damien, again, I mean, we've been battling this since 2014, I believe, for you and Joe, but been really heavily involved in it in the last year. Can't thank you enough for your work that you've done. Also, good luck to our cross-country team at Pitt State. Our 7th grade girls volleyball team just won state this week, so that's a great, this past weekend, so it was a great thing. Again, want to congratulate Mr. Balmer on being selected as our CEO. I think you'll do great, and we have a bright future ahead of us with him. Other than that, I just want to say we're starting to come up on the end of our first 9 weeks. While it has not always been optimal or prime, as always, our students and staff are resilient in what they do and how they finish, and so I can't thank you guys enough. And with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Ms. Overberg makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Mr. Basham seconds. Christy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Ms. Overberg?
Yes.
Mr. Groen?
Yes?
And I'm also a yes. Motion carries 5-0. Meeting adjourned.